Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank. That's Gary Groob. We have very special guests joining us, Thomas McConvey of the Rochester Knighthawks of the National Lacrosse League. Thomas, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. We like to start, always in a hurry, to figure out how you picked up a stick. So give us the origin story.
Yeah, I've been playing since I was 3 or 4 years old, right from a young age. Grew up in Etobicoke, Ontario, so played for Mimico growing up. I got an older brother. He's a year older than me. My dad never played lacrosse, so it wasn't really a natural fit for us to just join lacrosse, but he was playing hockey and football and all that stuff growing up, so we kind of knew we were always going to be doing something athletic. We played hockey all the way growing up, and I think we just naturally found lacrosse one day, and my dad signed me and my brother up, and kind of the rest is history. We've grown up playing with Mimico, and had a lot of great memories there, and it's been really special because my brother's only a year older than me, so I grew up playing lacrosse with him my whole life, and was lucky enough to go to college with him as well. So just kind of naturally fell into the game and been in love with it ever since 3 or 4 years old.
Simple follow-up. What kept you in?
I think at a young age, it was just kind of a natural fit, play lacrosse, play hockey in the winters and lacrosse in the summers, kind of just back and forth. And I think the two games really helped each other develop in each game. Hockey kind of leads itself into lacrosse and vice versa. So I think just the love of the game, and it just kind of was a natural fit. And I was really lucky to find the love for the sport and have that love for the sport ever since.
I assume you're not playing hockey now.
No, I gave that up in high school, unfortunately, but the dreams ended there. But it was a lot of fun still.
But that's when you changed your commitment to lacrosse. Well, you maintained your commitment to lacrosse.
Yes, exactly. I kind of saw a little bit more of a path for myself in lacrosse and focused in on that.
That's interesting. We've never really discussed that question, Gary, on when players go from being hockey and lacrosse players. What's the decision? And that's an interesting answer. It seems obvious now that I hear it, but drill down on that. I'd like to hear more about that. So here you are playing two sports, and you're looking at both of them. You clearly you love both the same amount at a time, anyway, for a certain time. And then what was the inflection point? What was the moment that you said to yourself, and why specifically, if you don't mind drilling down, what brought you to lacrosse and kept you in it?
For sure. Yeah. I played hockey at a high level. I was playing AAA throughout all growing up, and then playing obviously A lacrosse as well. So it was obviously high level at both levels. And then I got into kind of the beginning of high school, and I kind of realized maybe I was a little bit better at lacrosse, and there's more opportunity to pursue a scholarship to the States and further my academic career that way. And I was good at hockey, but I don't think I was a top tier guy, and I wasn't kind of going to go high here, high there, but more of a battle to get the looks and get where I wanted to. So I think just at a certain point in high school, I continued to play. I just kind of stepped down to AA and took more focus on travel lacrosse tournaments and going to the States with Edge and stuff like that to further my recruitment for college. And then I think just kind of realized at the middle point of high school is just kind of the hockey kind of comes to an end, and I'm just fully focused on lacrosse. And luckily that was the right decision for me.
Yeah. Now that you're saying that, a lot of the guys that we interviewed, that sort of was kind of said, but not as succinctly as you just said it, and as starkly clear as you said it. So the opportunity to get an education was brought to you by the game of lacrosse.
Yeah, for sure. That was as soon as I kind of got to high school and started going down to the recruiting tournaments down in the States. I kind of realized what the opportunity was there for me, and obviously getting an education with a scholarship alongside with it, and ability to play lacrosse at the highest level at that time was something I obviously wanted to do, and something I dreamed of doing. So I was lucky enough to do that.
While lacrosse hasn't gotten you the hockey kind of contract, it got you the education that's giving you an opportunity for a livelihood that's much better than it would have been otherwise.
Yes, exactly. So that's obviously the big side of it too, is you're not going to be an athlete for the rest of your life, unfortunately. So all the time always catches up. So there's got to be something to fall back on. And I'm lucky enough I got that.
Thanks for saying that, Gary. I'm sorry, I had a couple extra questions.
Not at all.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I want to drill a little bit more about your high school. St. Mike's is known for being a hockey high school, known for music as well, but known for being hockey, and a lot of NHL players have come out of there. Not a lot of NLL players have come out of there. Let's talk about the program. I know it's got some great parts of that school. The field is beautiful. All the different amenities are terrific. But let's talk about the program in itself that got you going, because usually we hear Hill or something like that. But St. Mike's, talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. My grandfather actually went to St. Mike's, so there's kind of a little bit of a natural connection there when I was coming out of elementary school. So, yeah, just at the time there was guys like Tanner Thompson and
Mm-hmm.
Keaton, like that family was there, and they were a couple years ahead of me. Warren Jeffrey, guys, Mimico guys that were already at the school. The Ben French, Joe French had gone through there, so there's a kind of a natural connection there with Mimico and St. Mike's. And I thought that was a good opportunity for me to kind of be able to stay home and not have to go to a boarding school in the States and stuff like that. Stay home and go to a great academic high school and as well as a great athletic high school. So yeah, just kind of a natural fit there, knowing some families that had already gone through the process and had gone to St. Mike's and then gone D1. They had great conversations with my parents, and I'm really happy that I got to go there and got a great education and really further my athletic ability as well.
Right. Now you did Mimico the entire career, all the way up through
Yeah, it's
junior.
Mimico all the way through minor and junior. Yep.
All right, let's talk about that because that's a story program. Lots of big names came through there. A number of your teammates came through there as well. Let's talk about the entire program. What made the program so special?
Yeah, it was always a brotherhood. I still got some really good buddies
Mhm.
that I still hang out with often, and obviously my brother as well. So my brother, like I said, was a year older than me. So every other year I was playing with him, and throughout junior I was playing with him. But also just a brotherhood that everyone kind of cared for each other. Teams were watching each other and cheering for each other. When we were younger, we were watching the older guys, and the older guys kind of watching us and helping us out. And then obviously when I was in, I can't remember what year, maybe Pee Wee or Bantam. They got the junior team back, so that was a big thing for us is that we were going to be able to play junior for Mimico as well. So being able to play Mimico throughout and not having to go anywhere else was really special. And I think you kind of built bonds and friendships that have lasted a lifetime and going to continue to last.
Right. Now you went to the University of Vermont. You and your brother. Talk about the specialty of having your brother there with you, where you're going somewhere distant, and how did this become like the choice, Vermont?
Yeah, it was really special. I think that definitely played a little bit of a part in it, was being able to continue that and go to the University of Vermont with him. Like I said, like Ben French and Warren Jeffrey had already gone from
Right.
St. Mike's to Vermont, so there's a little bit of a natural connection there, like I said earlier. But I also wanted to go somewhere where maybe there's a little bit more of an opportunity for me to play right away and kind of dive right into a little bit more of a role on a team, whereas going to maybe a bigger school, it would have been a little bit tougher to crack the lineup right away. So I was given a little bit more of an opportunity there, and I'm forever grateful for that. And to do it with my brother there as well, and some other Canadians that I'd become really close with growing up was really awesome. And I think the Vermont culture is really strong. And I think they got a good connection with some Canadians up here. They got some more down there now this year. So hoping for a good year for them.
Now I want to take a look at that because Canadians playing box, that quote unquote idea of playing box on a field. Nowadays, it's a lot different because we have so many programs here playing field. Going up to NCAA from coming out of high school, was it a culture shock?
A little bit, yeah. I think having those older guys there really helped kind of bring us in and teach us the way. And I think we had a great Jake Bernhardt was our offensive coordinator and Chris Weister, our head coach, and they really kind of dove into that and played. We played a lot of 2-man games. We weren't really doing the alley dodges. We kind of really fed into that Canadian style, and I think that helped us all be successful there. And yeah, it's kind of developed a long way, and you see more programs doing it now of like allowing Canadians to be Canadians and do what they do best. And I think it's really helped the game and really kind of help help some programs kind of grow and improve their offenses for sure.
Definitely. Was it a big adjustment playing field and playing box between being blueprinted on field and playing by feel mostly in box? Was it a little bit of a getting used to idea?
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, you take something from box and kind of vice versa. You kind of go back and forth. Yeah, like I said, I think we just had a great offensive system there in Vermont, and that allowed us to excel and be comfortable with that. And we took some things from the box game and put them on the field. And you can't kind of teach a guy the inside finishes and stuff. It kind of just comes naturally sometimes to us. And I think we really dove into that and allowed us to be successful.
Now, it was an interesting time where you were through university because it was during COVID, and it actually afforded you another year in which you wound up going to Virginia. Now, Lars Tiffany has been a guest on the show, and I actually was able to do a little bit of recruiting for him and give him some reports, which was great. He is such an easy guy to work with. Was he as easy to work for?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of respect for him. He's so in tune with the game. He loves the game. He's always trying to get better, always trying to get his players better. And COVID really sucked for a lot of reasons, but luckily I kind of found a positive out and was able to transfer to a larger school and a big time ACC school and make a deep Final Four run. But yeah, Lars is great. He knows so much about the game, and he's willing to help his players out so much. And I learned a lot in that year. And unfortunately, we didn't get to win the championship, but still, just some great experiences, some great memories, and like I said, just learned so much from him.
Right. Well, you were able to over those 5 years really let your wings just soar, and the amount of accolades and things like that came across was just showing how much your game improved to the point where NLL comes and you are drafted #1 overall. In fact, Rochester trades stuff to make sure that they had the first pick. And I have a little photo because Frank and I were doing that draft. And
there you go. Nice. I love it.
Looking sharp in New Jersey. Yeah, you were my first picture of the day, and the rest of the day was fun. But that was the first foray for Brett Fruit. So it was in the hotel, and the bands. It kind of looked like an NHL draft to me. And talk about that day.
Yeah, it was really special. I was just transferred to Virginia. I think it was in September, so I kind of just still getting my feet underneath me in UVA. And I remember telling Lars, like, hey, I'm going to go back to Toronto to go for the NLL draft. He's like, oh, you're actually going to it. Are you going to go? He didn't really understand that I was a top prospect in the draft. But I think once he watched it, he was so happy for me and he really understood it. But yeah, it was a really special day. Being in Toronto, I had a lot of friends and family there that could come to the event. And my brother actually got drafted as well, like in the 3rd round or something. So it was a special day for both of us. And to share that with my family and friends was really cool. And to do it in person, I think was special. Having that in-person experience, being able to walk up on the stage and shake the commissioner's hand and do some interviews and stuff like that. It was really special and something I'll never forget for sure.
Absolutely. What did Dan Carey and Mike Hazen tell you when they were drafting you, and what was expected from you?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to build a little bit of relationship with Dan before the draft. I played in the U21 games for Team Canada in Ireland that summer in August, I believe it was. And Dan was the GM of that team as well. So I kind of built a relationship. We spent kind of 2 weeks over there. Obviously didn't know if he was going to pick me or not, but was lucky to have some conversations with him and really kind of get to know him and kind of he built some trust in me, and obviously I have a lot of respect for him. So there was a lot of talks going in, and just after the draft, they just wanted me to be myself. And over the last couple of years, they've really allowed to be myself and really allowed me to grow into the game. With COVID, I took a couple of years off of box lacrosse, not being able to play my last couple of years of junior and all that stuff. So it took me a little bit of time to get back up to speed, but they allowed me that growth, and they've taught me a lot and allowed me to kind of come into my own and really made me feel comfortable and confident in my own shoes. And it's been a great 2.5 years so far.
Right. Well, I had Dan Carey on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the Nighthawk 2.0 that you guys are right now, and all the growing pains and all the pieces and all the little chess moves that he's made along the way to get you to where you are now. Talk to me about your first training camp. My favorite question. Was it what you expected?
Yeah, I would say so. Like I said, I was still trying to get my feet under me, so everything kind of seemed a little bit faster. And at that level, everything is faster. So it was similar to what I expected. Obviously, you kind of just want to be in the best shape you can. Want to have their stick in your hand and be confident and ready to go. And I think we had a lot of guys that were like a lot of younger guys that I could relate to. Ryan Smith was the guy that was there, Rylan Reese, a lot of guys that kind of help me take me under their wing and kind of just make me feel comfortable and at home. So yeah, I know we did a lot of practices, a lot of scrimmages, and it was nice to kind of get my feet going and really learn the game and get back up to speed. And the guys were great, and yeah, it was a little bit of a shock. A little bit of the speed and the size of the guys is different from junior, obviously taking another step up. But yeah, it was a fun experience, and lucky to have a great group of guys around me.
Right. The fan base itself, a very, 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 very knowledgeable fan base. They have come from a long, long lineage of teams between the Griffins, the Nighthawks, and this. Talk about your meeting with the fan base and just how everybody is more or less welcomed you to the city.
Yeah, for sure. I spent the last 2 years in Rochester, living in Market. I'm back home in Toronto now, but the first 2 years were great. We got to kind of really dive into the market and try and really grow the fan base. Obviously, it kind of sucks what happened to the old fan base, and trying to grow that love for the game back up. You know, Rochester is a great lacrosse city, and I think we're doing great things in the market to try and grow that. We're going into schools and doing different town practices and stuff like that to really get the brand out there and really try and dive into the roots of the game of lacrosse in Rochester, which is a lot. So yeah, the fans have been great. We had some great attendance numbers this year, and they're always passionate and really loud and get that building rocking a little bit. So hopefully we can continue to win, because winning obviously sells the most. So we were in a little bit of tough stretch here, so hoping to get back to winning and get more fans back in the building. And but yeah, they're passionate, they're great, we love them, and we always hear them in the building for sure.
Right. It never hurts to have a Hartley fight to get world renowned attention. I know
Yeah.
the video I put out got about 2 million views, so it's
Yeah, no,
But
that was
but to
crazy.
look at the rest of your team, like you mentioned with Ryan Smith, but you've also got Connor Fields, you got Kyle Waters, you got Ryan Lansbury. It goes on and on and on. The pieces that have been put in there with you as well. How long was it before you really felt comfortable going, aha, this is where I belong?
Yeah, you know, it obviously takes a little bit of time to get comfortable, stepping into a little bit of a new role, but I think we found some chemistry, and I think we've been lucky enough to have a lot of those same pieces kind of stick around. Smitty's been there since the beginning. I think Lance we traded for after my first game, so he's been there basically since the beginning. I was there. Fieldsy obviously the same. Waters same. We've added a couple pieces in Zed and you know, Brad McCauley. Hogger's been around for a year now, so we've been
Yeah.
lucky enough to have some chemistry and really kind of build the things as a group. And I think that's been really beneficial to us. You know, sometimes things are going tough, and we can go back to, hey, we've done this before. We've been together for 2+ years now. Like, we know how to do this. So I think we've done a great job of everyone feels confident and comfortable in their own skin, and everyone knows kind of their role. And I think, you know, Coach Calais has done a great job with that. Hazer's done a great job with that. And obviously Dan, like we said, has brought in a lot of great pieces and really built that culture to what it is. So I think we're all confident and comfortable, and everyone knows that each other has their backs. And I think that's the sign of a great offense and a great team. So I just got to keep building on it, and obviously never, I just got to keep growing, and success is never enough. And yeah, just looking to get back to those ways here this weekend.
Right. Also, when we're talking with Dan, character. Character was always what he was looking for. Pieces that fit, but character, not characters. And yeah, there's some characters along the way and characters in the room, but it's about character of a player and how you guys interrelate. And that's one thing I saw at the end of last year, especially, and going into the playoffs. That's something that you guys picked right up when you started this year. Once all the ownership and stuff like that got taken care of, and you guys knew you were coming, and away it went. You guys started out like a house on fire. It looked like you guys were really all on the same page. Now, you've had a couple little blips here and there, but really, I think that the nucleus of this team is one of the most. Just say that the foundation is the strongest, or one of the strongest in the league. I think. Am I far off?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think the culture in the room is amazing. You know, you got 25 guys or whatever it is, 26 guys that are pulling jokes at each other. If you say something wrong, you got guys chirping you, and it's a really fun group to be around. I think that's the very beginning of it. To have a successful team is you got to love each other. You got to know everyone's got each other's backs, and I think that's what we have. And
Yeah.
That's just the beginning of it. So I think once you have that, you can start to build up. And I think Dan, like you said, did a great job of doing that. And now obviously we had a great start, and I think that was kind of the beginning of the season. But obviously, like you said, we've had some tough goes here. But I think you always fall back on that culture, fall back on that. This guy's got my back. If I just do my job, he'll do his. And I think just getting back to those ways is something we got to do. And I think with that culture, that's something we can do, and hopefully we get back to.
Right. The bye week, I think, served you guys well because now everybody's healthy. All the stuff from the Vancouver stuff is way in the distance. And now you guys, I think, are focused. And I really do expect a big weekend from you this weekend.
Yeah, I think that the Vancouver stuff was obviously a little crazy. So hopefully we can get back to just playing some lacrosse and getting some wins, hopefully.
Absolutely. Let's talk a bit about the PLL. And you get drafted really, really high up there as well. Talk about getting in there in the year with the Philadelphia Water Dogs and just with everything that goes on with summer.
Yeah, no, I was lucky enough to be drafted to Water Dogs, and when we talk about great culture, I think we got one of the best cultures in the PLL, and I think that was something I was lucky enough to get drafted right into, and something that had already been established before I got there. So that was great to get drafted by a team like that, and obviously the first couple of years I got injured and I didn't really have the start that I wanted to get off to. But last year I was able to play in every game and kind of get my feet underneath me and really kind of grow as that person, as a person in that league. It's a little bit different, obviously a lot more fast paced. You got shorter shot clocks than what you did in college. So I think just learning and finding my own role in that game is something that I kind of did last summer and hopefully can continue to build on coming up this next summer.
Right. Is there a bit of a mental difference when you're preparing for PLL as opposed to getting prepared for NLL?
Yeah, a little bit. I think obviously it's the PLL is a different game than what you're kind of used growing up playing field lacrosse and NCAA. It's a little bit different just with the 2-point arc and the quick shot clocks off face-offs and the quicker shot clocks in general. So there's kind of not really time to coast or to kind of find your way into the game. It's like the games go by so fast that you got to be locked in right away. I'm not saying you can't be locked in right away in the NLL, or else you're gonna get your head taken off or something. But no, the games go by so fast, so you got to be in the game right away, and you never know how many chances you're going to get in a PLL game. Obviously, in the NLL, you get a lot more possessions, and you're probably going to be kind of more in a flow, a little bit easier. So maybe just a little bit kind of making sure you're extremely dialed in, because that first chance could be the only chance of the game in the PLL, and whereas the NLL, you're probably going to get a few more touches and a few more chances. So just a little bit of a mindset of just being locked in and staying aggressive.
Right. I think that the PLL game probably suits a style of yours because you have so much offensive prowess and IQ that you have more room to work as opposed to being, in tight quarters all the time in NLL.
I think so, yeah, and I think we've got some great ball handlers as well on the Water Dogs in Sowers and McCardle, and they're great feeders. So I think kind of playing a little bit more off ball and kind of finding those spaces that in the box game kind of that I've learned in the box game and bring them out to the field, and having those guys with such great vision that they're able to find you wherever you are on the field. So yeah, I've been trying to kind of grow as an off ball player in the field game, and those guys have been exceptional at finding me and continuing to grow in that way.
Right. Now, I had Ty Kurtz on last week, and of course, he's done the same thing with PLL and NLL as well as doing the WLA stuff. I asked him last week if the NLL is missing the boat on All-Star games, because looking at what the PLL does and at that All-Star weekend is really a mecca in the center of the season, showing, of course, the game is almost secondary. The skills competition and really putting everybody in an upper swing. Do you think now with ESPN and TSN with the NLL that we're kind of missing the boat on?
I think if the NLL could fake some of that work, I think it'd be great. I think you got so much talent in the league nowadays that if there's any way that you can show it off, it'd be amazing. And I think there's a way to do it. I think there's bye weeks now. Every team can kind of align one bye week, and that can be your All-Star game, kind of like what the PLL does.
Right.
Yeah, if they can make it work, I think showing off the talent of the league is never a bad thing. Obviously, some of the major four sports leagues have gone away from All-Star games because guys kind of pack it in and don't really try. So I think there's got to be kind of find a balance where if you're going to do it, you kind of got to make sure that it's done right. So if there's a way to do it, I think I'd be all for it and show off the talent of the league for sure.
Well, that brings me to Frank's idea from way back, and it was kind of the NHL idea way back when, and that was that the championship team, say that right now would be the Bandits, would host the game, and it would be the NLL All Stars against the championship team. So there's more in it for both. The team doesn't want to lose to the All Stars. The All Stars definitely want to knock off the Bandits or whomever the champion is. You have a year to market the game, or 6 or 8 months, anyways, from the time you hoist the cup to the time that game is mid-season. And we work from there with a little bit more skin in the game, so to speak.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Never really thought of it that way, but yeah, I think that could work. Obviously, you just got to get kind of everyone on board and make sure it's done right, and make sure the league does it in a way that grows the game. And I think they're doing a great job right now with the social media and growing the game. So I'm all in for any way to grow the game for sure.
Right. Let's talk a bit about with the TV contracts now and things. When we had Nick Sakavitz on a ways back, he was talking to us about that the NLL is roughly where the NHL was mid-70s. We got the TV and things like that, but it hasn't had the big explosion of the Oilers in the 80s. Does that feel like that to you as a player?
Yeah, I think so. I think having the game streamed, like all the games streamed and available kind of anywhere in the world is really cool. It's something that, growing up as a kid, I don't really remember watching too much lacrosse on TV. I had season tickets to the Rock, and I would go down there, and maybe the occasional TSN game was on TSN. But
right.
Having games streamed everywhere, I know in college we would always put it on, and kind of the American guys would be like, what is this? And they'd be glued to the TV once they kind of figured it out, and we'd always watch it. And I think that helps grow the game anyways, and in many ways. So yeah, I think having the streaming platforms, the TSN Plus, the ESPN Plus, NLL Plus, all that stuff is great, and hopefully it just gets more eyes on the sport. And I think once people start watching it and they kind of start to understand it, they're always kind of fascinated by it, and they love it. So yeah, we just got to get more eyes on the sport, and I think they're doing a great job in that way. And yeah, hopefully we can have that big splash and continue to grow.
I truly think it's one of the most addictive sport around, because I've tried that. I have sat at a bar with a tablet and had the game on, and before you know it, I'm looking over my shoulder, and we have this group of people watching the game over my shoulder.
Yeah,
I've tried to Chromecast it in a bar and watching slowly as the conversations all turn to the TV, watching the game. So it is definitely the most addictive sport. It's just having it on linear TV where a bar owner can put it on, and then before you know it, it's on, everybody's watching.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the beginning, is getting on the streaming platforms. But I think if it's able to get on the linear TV, I think that's huge. And I think the TSN Friday Night Lacrosse, and I think the PLL kind of does something similar on the Saturday night or something. But the more linear games, the more eyes you get on it. I think, like we said, people, once they watch it, they love it, and you just got to get those eyes on the TV for sure.
Right. I actually think the PLL is a little ahead of the NLL because they're using ABC and getting it on really mainstream, as opposed to just ESPN 2, 5, 8, or whatever it is, and TSN on a plus, as opposed to actually getting it on ABC is getting a lot of eyes that would never see it, seeing it.
Yeah, they've done a great job with the marketing, and they obviously do so much social media. You see it every weekend. There's always so many clips and so many tweets and all that stuff coming out from each weekend, and they do a great job with that, and that's obviously been successful. And yeah, they got a great deal with ESPN and that ABC slot on the weekends and the afternoons or whatever it is. And yeah, I think you got to keep diving into that, keep finding the time slots where maybe the TVs don't have exactly what they want to show, and you can slide your game in there at 2:00 on a Saturday or something. Even if it's not the ideal time slot where you want Saturday night, it's still on linear TV, and there's still gonna be more people watching it. So I think finding those areas where we can get on there on those channels is something that will help the game grow.
Right. Talk to me as a player about this idea that this can be a full-time gig for you. Is this in the cards for everybody?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're kind of growing, and the PL has done a good job, and the NL has done a good job with growing. and the salaries have gotten a little bit better. And obviously, I think we're extremely grateful to play a sport for any amount of money, and I think all the guys would do it no matter what. And yeah, it's obviously tough logistically with where guys live and what guys do and all the different markets and all that stuff with PLL and NLL. But I think the game is growing towards that way. I don't know if I'll be around when it does, but hopefully. And living the last 2 years in Rochester, I was able to kind of do the whole living the market thing, and I really enjoyed it. And I think it could be beneficial to have obviously guys living together and practicing every week. I think the product would be a little bit better, and guys would be a little bit more, maybe a little more dialed in than when you're just practicing once or twice a week and playing the game. So hopefully we get to that point, and I would love to get to that point. So I guess we'll see.
Right. Now, of course, lacrosse is going into the Olympics in 2028. Talk to me, first of all, about your idea of what Sixes is about.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play a Sixes event this past summer and in Baltimore with Canada. The U.S. was there, Haudenosaunee was there, and Puerto Rico. So we had a little tournament down at the U.S. Lacrosse headquarters, and that was my first experience really playing Sixes. And yeah, it's a little bit of a crazy game. You got box lacrosse, but on a field net with no out of bounds, really no board. It's a weird sport, and it took me a little while. The first game was kind of just running up and down, and you're kind of just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, not really knowing what to do or what's a good shot, because if you miss the net, then it's their ball and all that stuff. So I think it's once you kind of got the rhythm and the flow and you had a little bit of experience, it's a really fun game. It's really tiring, obviously. It's very fast paced with not that many bodies on the sideline. So once you kind of get the rhythm, it's a lot of fun. And getting that into the Olympics is huge. And hopefully, again, that's one way to continue to grow the game. And yeah, it's a fun sport. It's tiring, but yeah, I really enjoyed it playing this past summer.
Right. And I think this is that's the launching point. We're sitting here around floor 3 or 4 right now. That's to get you to the penthouse. You get 280 more countries to watch, to show what a great game it is. And, one form or another, you talk about purists going, that's not traditional, but you guys aren't running around in a field for 3 days either shooting at trees. So, it's once we get the eyes, then we can teach tradition. Right. But, with Sixes, I think we had Bob DeMarco on, who's president of World Lacrosse, and he explained to us that with the OIC, that you can only get 10,000 athletes all together in the games. So if lacrosse wanted to get in, they couldn't put in a field team. They couldn't put in a box team because you only have 2 or 3 teams in. So in order to get it in, there's a competition. Sixes, which has less people, are able to put enough teams, men and women, that we can actually get the tournament going.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a certain number of people that can be in the tournament. I think each roster is capped at like 11 or 12 for the Sixes. So it's going to be an extremely tough team to make on the on any country. So it should be a great tournament. It's going to be highly skilled, and yeah, I think it's going to be great for the game.
Right. Now, you've done some of the other World Lacrosse events, the fields and stuff like that, and watching that's growing all over the world. And really, is North America in trouble if we're not careful? It's going to kind of be like hockey, where you start watching Europe and other places.
Obviously, I hope the game grows to that level where it's not just kind of right now. It's a little bit more of the Canada, U.S. and the Haudenosaunee kind of dominating the sport. But I think you've seen it in hockey over the past couple of years or past decade, whatever it is, with the World Juniors and all that stuff being more competitive. And I think it makes for great television. So I think. I think one thing I was blown away with in 2023 in Ireland was the Japanese and how much they loved the game and how much they cared about getting better. And I think they won the bronze in the Sixes event in Alabama a couple years ago or something like that. But they're definitely coming, and they're going to be really good really soon. So yeah, I think it's definitely coming, and I think countries are definitely getting better, which is great, and that shows the growth of the game, not only here in North America but worldwide. And yeah, I think there's going to be some teams that challenge for it in the future. And again, like I said, that's the growth of the game, and that's great for the sport. And when you have more teams and more countries that challenge for the gold medal, that draws more eyes and draws more kind of interesting television, interesting games that can be put on TV.
Absolutely. It's interesting you brought up Japan because that's a team that's mostly homegrown as well, as opposed to some of the other teams where you had an uncle or an aunt or a grandmother or grandfather who could spell Ireland or whatever, and off you go to the team.
Yeah,
They actually are homegrown there and are fast. And
yeah.
both box and field, they've in the last probably decade, they have really shown how much they've improved and how much they belong on that world stage.
Yeah, they definitely they were definitely the one thing that I took away from that experience in Ireland was how good they were and how much they loved the cross and how much they wanted to get better and just kind of having some conversations with them in the village and stuff like that and kind of seeing the way they go with their business. They really care about getting better at lacrosse and then they really are good at lacrosse. So they're
Yep.
definitely going to be a country to watch out for in the future.
Right. The other thing that really makes lacrosse really go full circle is now that the women's game is really coming to the forefront. What really stood out to me at the World Box Championships was that people would come in to watch the men play, but before you knew it, they were all going to where the women are playing because some of those games were just absolutely incredible. And the U.S. Canada gold medal game was one that was made for TV, and probably for the game itself to grow, probably had the right Victor in there.
Yeah, no, they're so talented and they're so good at the game that I remember watching that game and being blown away. Obviously, I was hoping Canada would win, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was great for the sport. I think the U.S. showed how much skill they have and how much growth they've been in the box game and even the men's game. The U.S. was putting up a great fight against Canada, and it was definitely not ever a comfortable win for Canada. So yeah, I think it shows how much the sport of box cross has grown in the States that they're catching up. And yeah, like you said, the women's game is great. And having the PLL or the WLL do the sixes alongside the men, and then this year they're doing more of a travel league during the summer as well. So I think that's just great for the sport. And they're so talented; they deserve that platform to show off their skills. And I think they're going to do great. And obviously, you see a lot of young girls and at our games, and I hope now they can go to their games and watch their peers and their idols and grow the game that way. So yeah, it's great just to see the growth of the women's game, and hopefully it continues.
Right. I also look at that they come with so much more is that you guys have equipment. They have to try and make the equipment work and use tape and whatever and take their brother's hand-me-downs. And I know, have you ever had the women's field stick? I'm lucky if I don't break a window with one of those things because it's a tennis racket to me.
Yeah,
But
no,
being
for
able to,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I got a younger sister, and she's playing, and she's still playing at the University of Guelph. And I've been watching my whole life, and some of the rules I still don't fully understand, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a tough sport to play, and I know I throw around to her stick all the time, and it's really tough. And I got all the respect in the world for them and how hard they shoot it and how much accuracy they have with those sticks. I don't know how they do it, but it's special to watch.
absolutely. Now, being a Canadian that is in the U.S., you probably have a better grasp of this than we do. Is that the difference between the Canadian and American player development? Have you noticed a difference, or have you noticed that the U.S. is catching up with U.S. box law?
Yeah, a little bit. I think the minor programs here in Ontario and like kind of playing for your town is something that we really take pride in, and like we talked about earlier, and growing up in Mimico, and playing having that kind of brotherhood and growing up with your buddies is something that I think really helps really helps develop the game and kind of keeps people in the game because you're doing something with your friends. And I think that's something that the U.S. is starting to develop a little bit with their kind of teams. And I think if they can ever get those kind of town programs going at a higher level, and that would be something that would probably help their growth rate grow as well. Because I know they do it with field, but it's tougher to do with boxes. They don't really have the infrastructure, and it's kind of newer to them. So if that's something they can get towards, I think it's great. And I think that U.S. Box Club program coming up to the track or whatever they do, they're at West as well in Vancouver and learning the game up here. And I think that's something that really grows the game. So yeah, the more they can play it, I think it helps not only box, it helps their field game as well, and they learn different skills. And you see guys in the league like Connor Fields that grew up in upstate New York, what he can do in the box game, and Jack Hanna and guys like that. They're really taking the league by storm. CJ Curse. So yeah, I think it's really growing down there, and I think having those guys that are American playing in the NLL now is something that will help them for sure.
Right. I also look at a guy like a Joe Resiteritz, who also
For sure.
in that winter and summer ball. Yeah, to be part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely the
Once
guy
again,
that laid the
Rogers is having
foundation.
fun with me.
Okay, I think Joe's done a great job. He's been
Yeah,
kind of the
he's been setting all the records.
founder. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and watching him in MSL as well, doing the same things has been pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure. He's done it all for them.
Let's
and,
go towards the future. Is coaching in your future?
Potentially. I think I've done a little bit of stuff in Rochester. Can you hear me?
I think he's a little bit delayed. I think, Gary, you're a little bit delayed.
Yeah. Roger's having fun with me again.
No, so I've done a little bit of coaching in Rochester the past couple of years for the UCBLL alongside Dan Coates and Ryan Rees, and that was really special. And we won a championship there with that team. So growing the box game in the States was really cool. And I think Coates is a really good leader, and he's our captain, and I think he's got some coaching in his future, and he's going to take over the St. Catharines Junior A. So being alongside him and his coaching style has helped me. I'm not sure if I'll be diving into high level coaching. I would love to do some stuff here with Mimico this summer and kind of grow the game that way from the lower levels up. And you never know in the future what it holds, but I think just starting at a minor level to try and grow the roots of the game and try and give back to the kids that, I had people that coached me when I was a kid, and kind of do that for them and grow that next generation. So I think I'd probably start there, and maybe in the future, you never know, but definitely want to coach the younger kids and kind of give back that way.
Right. What is your biggest recommendation for someone who's trying to break in and trying to move their way up the ranks as a junior?
Yeah, obviously you got to love the game from the beginning. You can't kind of fake it all the way up through the next level. And you got to just try and consistently get better and consistently keep the stick in your hand. That stick kind of has to become a part of your body, and you got to have full control over it at all times. So I think just walking around the house, playing 10 to 15 minutes of wall ball a day, all that stuff, like the cliches of just keep the stick in your hand and just always trying to develop those little skills. And if you love it and you put in the work, there's obviously always gonna be opportunity for you. And just continue to love the game and continue to try your hardest. And you never know where this game could take you, and take you a lot of places. And I've been grateful to have some great memories, some great friendships. So I got a lot to give back to lacrosse, and it's been really special.
Right. It's funny you mentioned about the carrying stick everywhere. I remember a story from Mike Powell is that their mom, the Powells, sewed a holster onto their jeans, so they carried their stick with them no matter where they went in school. So that just came.
It's really cool.
Came to mind. Yeah. Working your way across as a coaching idea, does moving it up towards, maybe into OJLL and stuff like that seem like where it's going to be for you?
Potentially, yeah. I think like I said, kind of doing playing the professional league is tough to kind of balance your time with the OJLL and all that stuff. So maybe not right now, but definitely want to do some youth stuff, like I said. But maybe in the future, if that comes up, I'd definitely be interested. But yeah, for right now, I think I want to kind of focus on playing and just focus on the younger age groups and growing the next generation of lacrosse players. And then if it evolves into kind of moving up the ranks, then in that way, then I'd be open for it. And I just love lacrosse. So if there's any way I can stay involved, I would love to do it.
Right. Looking at your game, you've had such success in all aspects and all levels. What do you still try and work on yourself to try and be better at?
Yeah, you can always be better, and you can always be humbled by the game. Whenever you think you kind of got the game figured out, it figures out a way to kind of teach you something new and say, hey, you're not as good as you think you are. So, I think going from junior to the NLL, the big thing I learned was like I can't obviously a little bit bigger frame, so I kind of was able to move my body around and kind of go where I wanted in junior, and that's obviously not the case in the NLL with some of the guys back there on different DNs. So
Right.
I think I've been trying to learn to how to use my body in different ways and kind of just use the pressure of the defenseman against them, and kind of use different ways to get to the middle and get open rather than just kind of bullying your way in, because you're not going to win a lot of the fights, a lot of the pushing battles and the pushing matches against some of the D guys. So just kind of being more savvy in the way I get to the middle and the way you set picks, and it only takes like a split second where you're open or you're not open. So just getting smarter in that way, and just using my body a little bit more effectively and a little bit more smartly is something I've tried to do over the past couple of years.
Right. With a little more of the U.S. influence in the game, do you see it more like well, we've always talked about Canadians influencing the field sport. Do you see the U.S. influencing now some of the things we're seeing in box, more blueprinted, but also a little bit quicker and more agile? I think.
A little bit, yeah. I think you can kind of see, like I said, Fieldsy's done a great job for us, and he's not the
Yeah.
most traditional guy, and that's I've learned to play with him, and we've had some great chemistry over the last couple of years, and hopefully we continue to grow that. But guys like playing against Jack Hanna, I play with him in the summer, and playing against him in the winter in the box is he's a difficult guy to cover, and I don't envy any of the D guys that have to do that, just with his foot speed and with his agility. And you see it with CJ Kurse now too. It's those guys they're so quick, and same with Brendan O'Neill. So like they're so quick and they're so kind of they take one jab step and you bite on it, and they're already 5 feet by the other way. So I think they've kind of developed that a little bit more of a one-on-one game in the box, and I think teams are kind of starting to dive into that with like some more clear outs and emptying some space for them to put those defenders in tough positions against guys that are incredibly hard to cover one-on-one. So yeah, there's been a little bit more of that, and I think it's great for the game and to continue to evolve.
Right. Over the years, though, it's been, it's kind of like not the norm, but the exception to the rule. Guys like Rob Hellier, guys that are not the biggest guys on the field, that are really making a wave. I'm seeing more and more of it now because you're talking about Connor Fields, of course, who's not the biggest guy in the room. I see it with Owen Hiltz in Toronto as well, who's not the biggest guy in the room, but very, very IQ savvy with what he can do, where he can do it, and a great shot to go with it. Do you see more and more of that coming into the league?
Yeah, I think obviously with Fields, he's been a special player over the past 3-4 years or whatever it's been, and he's just so smart, and he knows where to kind of use like if you're pushing him one way, he'll use your leverage against you, and that's something I've been trying to learn. Like I said, was using my body and using the defensive leverage against them, and I think he's taught me a lot. And yeah, he's got an outside shot that if you kind of give him some space, he'll let it fly, and he can score from anywhere. So yeah, I think it's a little bit different, and you gotta, if you're going to be, maybe a little bit of a smaller guy, you got to have that IQ. And I think all those guys that you mentioned have it, and they're excelling with it. And yeah, I've really been trying to pick their brains. The guy like Ryan Lanchbury as well, on the right side for us is not the biggest guy, but his vision and just the way he sees the floor is something that, I kind of try to watch and try to see how he kind of sees the game, and he's kind of a quarterback out there for us. So yeah, just watching other guys play and different skill sets and different styles is something you can always learn from them.
Right. Now the trade deadline's coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and there's a lot of teams where guys are like this going, oh. I think with the Knighthawks, it's, where they can add something, a piece here or a piece there, because like I say, the nucleus is there. Is there anything that you think on your wish list that maybe would be that one little thing, excuse me, that would get you over the hump?
I'm not sure. I think we're kind of figuring it out as a group right now. Like I said, we've got some great chemistry, and I think obviously you love everybody in your team, and I think we got a great team, and I think we've had some difficult games the past couple of days. So I think I know we all trust in Dan that he's going to do the best thing for our team, and if we need to add a little bit or whatever we need to do, I think he's got it all figured out. So hopefully we can kind of just, with the group that we have right here right now, I think is definitely good enough to not only make the playoffs and maybe make a run in the playoffs. So I think if we just get back to playing the games or back to playing lacrosse we were playing in the earlier games of the season, I think we can kind of start to make a little bit of a run and try and turn the season around here after a little bit of a tough stretch. But going through some adversity isn't the worst thing sometimes, and can really make you kind of learn from it and kind of fix up those holes and turn the season back around. So
Right.
Yeah, we got all the faith in Dan and all the faith in the guys in the room. So hopefully we can kind of get it back rolling here, and still half the season left, so there's still a lot of games left.
For sure. And it's character building. No team is going unscathed throughout the year. That just doesn't happen. It's just that the character building and seeing how you come out of it. And I really do trust in, Dan for one, but also just in you guys alone, watching you guys for so many years now and watching this nucleus build, and that everybody knows their role, which is another really important thing, that no one oversteps their bounds and tries to do too much. They know their role, and you all know where each other is on the floor, which a lot of teams don't have.
Yeah, no, completely. I think that goes back to the chemistry that we built over the past few years. And just getting back to that, like you said, we can all lean on each other. We all trust each other, and we all know it's in the room, and it's up to us to find it, and it's up to us to go out there and perform. So like you said, we got the culture, we got the guys in the room, and we got the trust in the room. So hopefully we can turn this thing around and get back rolling.
Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon in person again. And I wish you the best of luck this week. And I really want to take time and say thank you I know how busy you are, and you're busy trying to get ready for the game this weekend, and to take the time to talk to us about lacrosse. I love it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Thank you for having me on. It was a great conversation, and obviously I love lacrosse as well. So love talking it.
Thanks for doing this, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. He's Thomas McConvey of the Rochester Knighthawks. He's Gary Groob. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. We're here at 4:00 on Thursdays. You can hear about lacrosse for an hour and hear things new every week like we did this week. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. See you soon.